What would it be like if all of a sudden that voice in your head that tells you what a piece of shit you are was gone?
I don't know what you're talking about. This podcast is not about fiction because I hear it pretty fucking loud over here.
Well, you can call it fiction, but right now it's a fact that I've been living with for several months. And I'm not even 100% sure how I got here, but today we're going to try and figure it out.
I'm so happy for you, but fuck you too. But first, this is the Fit Mess, where together we learn to develop habits that help us live beyond our mental health struggles to create happier, healthier lives.
He's Zach. He lives in the future with his anxiety.
He's Jeremy, and he lives in the past with his depression. And we get together once a week in the present to share the obstacles we face and how we overcome them. Jeremy, how you feeling these days?
It's funny you should ask. I'm riding a bit of a high, if I'm being honest.
No. Come back down to the level that we're all at.
No, I can't play on your level anymore. I'm up here now, man. I'm up here. But it's largely because of external validation, which is something I want to talk about on the show, because I know that it is something that I feed off of. When someone else tells me something good, ego, head gets even bigger. It's the weirdest thing. I want to start with a letter from my therapist. It was one of those days with your therapist where you wake up and you're like, I should cancel that appointment. Like, things are too good. I don't have anything to whine about. I don't have anything to complain about. But I kept the appointment because something good always comes of it. And it was a good conversation, but he followed it up with an email. And it goes like this. Hey, Jeremy, first and most important, I don't think I've seen you at this level. Whether you consider yourself still faking it till you make it, I see a new level. Motivation, confidence, clarity of vision. It shows big time. Maybe because I see you rarely these days, but I see you moving with obvious resolve and dedication toward authenticity, toward personal actualization, not just spiritually and mentally, but physically. You've never looked better, more healthy. I'll say, let nothing stand in the way of your path. You are serving not just yourself, but the greater good, including your wife and, of course, your kids. Keep it up, man. That was enough to feed my ego for like 2 days. And then I went to this group therapy thing that I've been going to, and they were talking about how like they can see that like I'm spreading my wings, right? And I should not retract them for anyone. And I feel it. I do. Like I've done so much work over the years and over especially these last like 9-10 months. I feel really, really fucking good most of the time. And the most profound thing that I have been able to do, and I shit you not, for anyone that knows me, it's going to come as a shock, but the voice in my head that would so often follow feeling down with, well, yeah, you piece of shit, you suck. That's why you're down. That's why things are the way they are. That's why you suck at this or whatever. That voice is gone, and it has been gone for months. And while I still get down, don't get me wrong, like it gets dark and I need my space and all the things, but I am not beating myself up anymore. And it is such an empowering place to be now because I'm not relying on external validation to lift me out of the depths. It's just helping me soar a little bit higher than where I'm currently living.
Well, ain't that some shit? You're feeling good. Congratulations. I love it. I'm so happy to hear it. And I do see that as well. I think we've switched roles a little bit because I've been a little down lately.
You have?
Especially with something that just recently happened that has really just got me down, and like the self-worth and then those things are kicking in hardcore, especially this week where, I just don't quite feel the worthiness, right, of anything anymore. So it's very interesting that you've spread your wings and you're moving in that direction. I went the other direction. This too shall pass, but hey, congratulations. I think that's awesome. I've said it before. I've seen a huge shift in you and how you're reacting to things in the last 12 months. So like fucking kudos, man. Like you've done the work. And again, to anyone who has ever listened to us, this stuff is not easy, right? You have to put a lot of effort into it, and you've put a lot of effort into it. So you should feel really proud to like get that kind of an email, feel that way, know that voice is gone. Like that's a ledge that you got off of. That's fucking awesome.
It's Yoda saying, "Hey Luke, you're a Jedi Knight." Now don't get me wrong. I can take it away at any point, but I hereby grant thee Jedi Knight.
I wouldn't quite go that far.
But let's talk about
Do not ever have a lightsaber in your hand, because you'll lose an arm or a foot or a leg.
I've heard that. I've heard that's a hazard of the industry. But I think you and I both rely heavily on external validation to develop some of that self-worth, to feel like we are somehow contributing or a worthwhile member of society.
Absolutely. I know I do. It's always good to hear from people, because the expectations that I set for myself and the punishment that I put on myself is so much worse than what the rest of the world is giving me. Everyone else sees good job or quality job or attaboy. And a lot of times all I see is piece of shit. You didn't do as good as you could have done. You failed here. You didn't do that right. Like, it's, we're our own harshest critic, and that external validation sometimes can be louder than that internal voice, because some of us still have the voice. You jerk.
Yeah. I think I told this story before, but literally the last time I had it was I was leaving town, literally worked up until the minute I had to leave, threw all the stuff in the car, scrambled down, picked up the kids, drove, out of town and all the things, got where I was going. And when it came time to brush my teeth, I opened up my little travel bag thingy. The toothbrush wasn't in there. And I was like, you fucking idiot. How did you forget something as fucking simple as your toothpaste? Oh my God, why are you such a piece? And like mid thought, I caught it. And I was like, or you were busy. You worked up until the minute you had to leave. You were behind. You scrambled. Things are going to get forgotten when you don't have time to do it the right way. Like, the evidence overwhelmed the bullshit story I was telling myself. And somehow it was like a lightsaber in the heart of the villain. It literally killed it, because I haven't had it since. Whenever something goes wrong now, I don't default to, you're a piece of shit. I default to, it sucks that happened so that this happened this way. Yeah. And it's not about me anymore. And so, I hear you saying that, like the kudos, the validation, all the things that you're used to getting. And you turn that to, well, but I could have done better. I could have. But are you ever able to catch the thought in the middle of it and go, yeah, but it was good enough to win even that external validation? Like, can you flip it that way?
Yeah, I usually do. Every now and again, I just don't quite get it in time. And I end up beating myself up to the point where I believe it wholeheartedly. So when the external validation does come, I'm like, well, yeah, they're probably wrong, or they're drinking, or like,
right. Right.
Like
they just don't know me. They just don't know me the way I know me. Yeah.
Yeah. When they figure it out, like it's over. It's all over. But for the most part, I can stop myself, because those thoughts will come. So my voice has never disappeared, and I don't think it will ever disappear. It shows up and it starts talking. And I stand up and just kind of say, hey, man, it's you again. Thanks. Appreciate what you're trying to do. Let's sit the fuck down.
Yeah.
Because that's not true. Right. Like, I hear it, I interrupt it, and then I go down a different path. So I'm really happy to hear that it's not even there.
Yeah. I don't get me wrong. I still have other struggles. Just this morning, I was super anxious. There was some stuff going on at work that was a challenge that I had not faced in a while. And so I felt the anxiety picking up. And then, my wife started talking to me about some like sort of stressful things that we're dealing with at home or whatever. And I felt the anxiety, like it was driving the bus. And I kept hearing your voice. And I was like, okay, thank you, anxiety. There's no tiger in the room. You're fine. This is going to be hard, but I don't need to be this level of anxious about it. Don't get me wrong. It didn't fucking work even a little bit. I was anxious up until like I clocked in, right? But I was trying to implement the tools, because it is putting in the reps. It is doing the time. That's when
the repetitive nature.
That's how you learn to mind that gap between thought and response, and the thought of, you fucking idiot, you forgot your toothbrush, and, oh wait, no, you're a human being that makes mistakes sometimes, and it's all right to be a little messy.
And it's a toothbrush, man. Just go get a new one.
Well, and that was the beauty of it. Like that thought finished with, I bet your mom even has one in the drawer if you just open it and look, you dummy. Open it up. Of course, there's a spare sitting right there. So no harm, no foul.
So yeah, it really is interesting how we can beat ourselves up. We can be our own worst critic. But learning to hear that voice, like, you don't even have to stop it. Like, the very first step is just hearing it. knowing that you're doing it. Once you know how to hear it, then it's going to be a game changer, because then you can stop it. Once you recognize it, then you can put those things in place to stop it.
And there's an important distinction in the voice that I think you're talking about. And it reminds me of this quote. We've mentioned it on the show before, but I'm going to mention it again. Alex Hormozy says, "You don't become confident by shouting affirmations in the mirror, but by having a stack of undeniable proof that you are who you say you are. Outwork your self-doubt." I love that quote because you hear the advice all the time of just look in the mirror and say wonderful things to yourself, and, you know, give yourself a high five and pat yourself on the back and all the things. And there's a place for that. There's science behind it that it helps or whatever. But what helps more is when you can prove that the voice that's dragging you down, that's calling you a piece of shit, when you can prove it wrong by pointing to the evidence that says otherwise, it becomes a lot easier to hear the voice that pushes you forward rather than the one that's trying to drag you down. And
that one that wants to drag you down, it can be loud.
Really loud.
Very, really, really pushy. So you need to learn how to quiet it.
Quickly want to mention our sponsor, Athletic Greens. If you want to empty that overflowing cabinet full of vitamins and replace them with one great tasting drink, then order Athletic Greens now, so you can not only give your body what it needs to thrive, but we'll give you a free year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. The link to try it out is in the show notes for this episode at thefitmess.com.
So after all that rambling, Jeremy, we've got a few takeaways for you. And the first one is that voice that's inside your head that's negative, that takes you down. You just need to learn how to listen for it. That's like really step one. You don't have to change it. You don't have to do anything with it. You just have to hear it. And just acknowledge whenever you do hear it. Like I said, you don't have to change anything. Just learn how to recognize it. Then you can take that next step later.
And I think the next step can be what you talk about all the time here. Get curious about it. Whatever that thing is saying, is that true? Do you believe that? Or is that just what the moment calls for because your emotions are driving the bus? Is it true that you're a piece of shit? Is it true that you're such a dummy because you didn't do this thing? Is it true that you're not lovable, that you're not whatever? Or is that just the story? Or is that just the bullshit story you're telling yourself because you're the star of your own pity party?
I like my pity parties. Like I have glitter.
You throw a very nice pity party.
Yeah. I mean, they're really nice.
I mean, they're not my level pity party, but they're very nice.
No, I mean, like there's cake and there's a lot of fun activities.
There's a lot of cake.
Yes. I mean, lately it's been Girl Scout cookies because those things just got sold. But, and I guess the last thing is just remember that these are ups and downs, right? None of us are built to be happy all the time. We're also not built to be sad all the time. You're going to have up moments. You're going to have down moments. And just right now, I am in a down moment. Mm-hmm. And I'm not okay with it, but I'm okay with it. I'm incredibly sad. I'm incredibly disappointed. I'm incredibly hurt at the moment right now. Mm-hmm. I know it will pass. Mm-hmm. And I need to feel these emotions. I need to feel them. But just know, like, there's ups, there's downs, like all of these things that you're going to have. This is normal. You will get through it. But calling yourself a piece of shit because you're down is not going to help you through it.
And I know we just sort of laid out 3 sort of key takeaways to think about from this conversation, but I want to stress what you were talking about there. There's no simple 3-step fucking step to happiness. There's no fucking formula that anyone can promise you that is going to make you happy all of the time. The trick is learning to live between the good and the bad, acknowledging that the bad is going to fucking be there. And sometimes it's going to win. The good is going to be there. And sometimes it's going to win. For me, you and I are on opposite sides right now with that. You're stuck in the bad. I'm living it up in the good. I'm going to come crashing down. It's what I do. I'm aware of it. But right now I'm trying to just go like, you know what? This feels pretty fucking good. I'm going to hang out here as long as they'll let me stay. And you will continue to fight your way out of the shit that you're stuck in. But this fucking illusion that self-help loves to share, that, you know, there's just a simple formula. All you have to do is X, Y, Z, and you'll be happy, is bullshit. You have to learn to accept all of it. And that is where I think you find more contentment, which I think is a more realistic thing to strive for.
Well, contentment, and like you said, like you are doing really well right now and you're just going to enjoy it. You're going to feel that feeling. You need to do the same thing when you're on the downside.
Yep.
You just feel the feeling. Let it process. Like if you repress that stuff, if you don't feel those feelings, you're going to be stuck in it longer. You're going to have longer term damage to your psyche. Just feel it. Just be in the moment, feel it, let it go, and you'll get through it. And it'll change. And I'm hopeful that next week our roles reverse, or we're both.
Oh, you want me to feel like shit, do you?
Well, yeah. I mean, right now I kind of do. No, hopefully next week we're both on top of the world. That would be great.
That's right. I'll see you there. And we hope you'll join us there too. And speaking of joining, we hope you'll sign up for our newsletter where we expand on all of these topics. We offer bonus clips from interviews that we do and try to help you walk that fine line between living among the shit and feeling pretty good most of the time. Somewhere I like to call contentment. So we'll try to show you the way there through our newsletter. That's available at thefitmess.com. That's also where our next episode will be available in just a few days. Thank you for listening.
We know this podcast is amazing and doesn't seem to lack anything, but we need a legal disclaimer. Prior to implementing anything discussed in this podcast, it is your responsibility to conduct your own research and consult your physician. You should assume that Jeremy and Zach don't know what they're talking about, and they're not liable for any physical or emotional issues that occur directly or indirectly from listening to this podcast.